Oh, man. Hmm.
Apparently, the words Florida Governor Ron DeSantis can be rearranged to spell ignorant loser advisor for Don. Don't forget to jump in on Discord too.
Oh, whoops. In that case.
There you go. All right.
Yay.
Whoop, whoop. Okay, so depression.
Oh, believe me, I have different ideas for each of them, but I just love the fact that, similar to Daredevil, like, I'm not overthinking this, and there's so many. Believe me, it's worth it. It is.
I don't doubt you. But I was really trying to I wanted to read the original A.A. Milne stories because, as I understand it from my research, he's a slightly different character in those stories. Disney, surprise, surprise, softened him a bit.
Yeah, he is. He's bitter. That's the bottom line. He is bitter as all get out.
All right. Anhedonia?
Ah, I got you with one, huh? Okay.
Yes, you did.
And then I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna leave it for the episode.
Fucker. All right. In the meantime, let me pull up the calendar and see. Let's see. Later. Let me tell Brian that we're recording. I also, at the start of the episode, I'm going to talk about the fact that we were the subject of a pod raid.
Oh yeah, you did mention that to me.
So we got a shitload of reviews. The past week. So I want to show some love on the, and also we now have a lot of reviews to read for the next like 3 months worth of episodes.
Nice.
So somebody gave us a 1-star rating, but no review. So it's just,
Huh.
I'm like, who, and why didn't you sign your name, you coward?
Oh.
So let's see. Okay. Oh, also, I think it goes without saying, there's not going to be any Patreon exclusive profanity
Right. Right.
in this episode. I can't really envision a world in which Eeyore says fuck.
No.
Oh, fucking bother. Oh, this shit again. None of this fucking matters. All right, you sit tight and right. I gotta go kill an ant. Infestation of them in the house right now. I don't know what's going on. just realized it's Aunt Linda's birthday today.
Oh.
To be fair, I only just realized it was July 12th.
As
Time has
opposed,
no mean. Time has
I
no
was gonna,
meaning anymore.
I was gonna say, as opposed to June 12th, like what?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. She's 70 today.
Wow.
I'm reading this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because again, in the original books, he's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Like they,
Mm-hmm.
they made him like cute depressed for the Disney cartoons, but in the original, it's just I don't like the other animals. I think they're all stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be here.
Yep.
But yet, much like with probably the closest analog I would say is the Tick, in the sense that next to none of our audience knows or is familiar with this character from the original source material. You know? They only know the adaptations.
And that's part of what I'm touching on with this skit, actually.
Oh, excuse me.
uh,
All right. Let's see. Da, 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 da. And my direct message. Also, got a lot of good feedback from the Daredevil episode.
okay.
In terms of people saying that what we talked about really resonated with them.
Oh.
So that was very cool to hear. In fact, Seth said that he sent that episode to his therapist as a he was talking to his therapist, like, what are some of your goals? What are some of the things that you want to accomplish? And he sent her the episode and he said, these are the things that I want to.
Whoa. Whoa. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know Seth, but like referencing what, the dad stuff or like,
no, just like sort of how, like, I guess the goals in treatment and stuff.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Seth is
Wow.
our resident meme guy.
Oh, I know. They've been amazing. I'm just
Share on your timeline. Post. Eeyore's pissing you off.
yeah.
It's fun to watch how your brain comes up with certain things.
Yeah. Because I think obviously we straddle that edutainment line, and in this case, this just feeds into the idea that he is who he is, and although he's not trying to get me upset, I'm trying to be this goody two shoes kind of doc that's trying to fix everything, and his point is, okay, but what is there to fix? So on one hand he's clueless, on the other hand it's very obvious that he knows how to needle. So
oh, that he do. Also, I really can't wait to talk to the boys with you, because I think that's going to be a highly entertaining discussion.
yep.
So we shall see what that looks like. All right, you keep on writing. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And look, wearing pants. All right, let's see. Is there anybody in the room here? Do, 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 do.
Let's see.
Alrighty. Says one is watching in Facebook, which would be me. One is watching on YouTube, which would be me. We got anybody in Discord? Yet. Who bothers you? Everyone. A lot of people are going to be going, fuck yeah, Eeyore.
I'm telling you, man. I know that you were mocking this before, but I said this one is going to be good. It really is.
I
oh man, I am totally set up for this one. I did not write out the skit ahead of time, but I certainly had the idea of where I wanted to go with some of your input. Okay, at this point, I think it's pretty well fleshed
so far.
Yeah, well, so here's where you come in, because once again, as with most writers, I'm horrible with endings. My main point now is, okay, dude, I get it. It's not you, it's the world. But since you can't change the world, I can't change the world. And even though you have your personality, like, you don't have to be pissed off. You don't have to be depressed. Like, you can feel okay. What helps with that? Like, what's a real, and that's why my next line was, so let's set some realistic goals. What would, but I'll admit, I don't know it that well. Like, what is a realistic thing? Because if you look at the way that, not just how he's written, but even with the Disney stuff, on one hand, it's great they include him in everything. On the other hand, you can kind of see, like, okay, thanks, guys, but can I really get my downtime? Damn. I get it. You got a nice jovial Christopher Robin, and you got all these other wacky / fun and that makes for fantastic entertainment for everybody else. But dude, I don't work that way. So, I'm kind of wondering what would that middle ground be. I don't know what that looks like.
I'm not 100% certain either what that middle ground would be. I think for him, maybe part of it is learning how to a healthy way and a respectful way to set boundaries with the other characters, so that he explains to them, like, I'm going to need some me time. I need time in my house by myself. I don't want Tigger coming in, crashing in and jumping all over, messing shit up. I don't want, Rabbit coming in trying to tell me the 17 ways I need to organize my shit. I don't need Pooh coming in just getting honey over everything and messing up my house, like
I
maybe that.
wow. You know what? I think you just did it.
And help and finding a way for him to
Yeah.
establish healthy boundaries so that he's not
Yeah.
constantly being run roughshod by the rest of
Yeah.
the crew in the 100-Acre Wood. So
Yeah. This will be a little.
wow, Gail Simone starting some Twitter shit saying I'm vindicated in my recollection that Sega was better than Nintendo. She's just
Oh boy.
just straight up shots fired there. Anthony Vella joined. Hey, what's up, Vella? I'm sorry to say, Vella, I've seriously slacked off at my exercise. I'm doing the Tough Mudder challenges, though. I don't know. I'm sure you got the emails about them.
Yeah.
So I've been, I signed up for 3 months worth. Woohoo. For the month of June, I have to climb the equivalent of the Grand Canyon, 6,000 feet, run 1,000 kilometers, do 200 sit-ups, 200 push-ups, 200 lunges, 200 squats, and 200 something else. Today, I also had to plank for 2 minutes over a dozen eggs. And I have to either spend 3 hours doing stuff with my non-dominant hand or write the letters TM, running on a run app, with the GPS and everything. Fuck, I forget what the other one is. All right, let me see. Yeah, healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe when you're done with Eeyore, you can help describe healthy boundaries to me, because I don't know what those are. I'm of the either I'm all up in your shit, or I need you to get completely off my fucking back. I don't know
'cause-
how. I mean,
so
we've been friends for
so
25 years. It's 0 or 100 with me. There's no middle ground where I'm like, oh, I'll just check in and da 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 da.
well, considering this week my wife called me Jekyll and Hyde about the fact that it seemed like I wanted to be completely alone for several hours at a time, and then out of nowhere she thought I was like clingy, like super clingy to her for a while. I need to work on it myself. So hey, um,
Does part of that involve wearing pants?
no comment.
Oh, I know you don't have Instagram, but I shared your reverend issues from the end of the Daredevil. I shared that as the.
That also gets cross shared with Facebook anyway. So I
Oh,
did
okay.
see.
Oh,
that.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. It does get
Yeah, I did.
cross-shared. Yeah.
I did see that, and the fact that my sisters both immediately liked it, like instantly.
You know where your heart lies, and you know where your wallet lies. Doors to the church always open.
I feel right after I did that, I really hoped that people thought I wasn't just. I mean, I was definitely taking the piss out of the church, but I hope that people recognize that it was playful. It's not like
I listen
completely.
to the extent that there are any folks that listened to that and got like their knickers in a twist over it. I don't think they're listening to our show anyway.
Good point.
So
Very good.
I'm fairly certain that, but that it's funny because that was actually one of the feedback that I heard was that it, it spoke to people of faith about how to address their various mental health issues, and the fact that they when trying to get help for those mental health issues, they were told that it means that you must not be as faithful as you claim. You must not be as holy as you claim if you have these issues. And it's like, no, like I could still walk a path with God and have these issues. It doesn't make me less of a believer because I also have anxiety, depression, what have you. So, yeah. But just it was like a very feel good episode to get that kind of feedback. I appreciated that. Gail Simone posted a picture of Betsy DeVos with a mask and said, "What is the supervillain's name? Wrong answers only." And so far, we've got Larfleeze, Typhoid Mary, and Pied Piper's asshole sister, Sinestro.
Wow. Okay, so this one is brief, but it's brief by design.
Okay.
And it takes longer than you'd think because of the intentional delays. And I know that you can act this out, so I'm not worried at all.
Oh, I think it'll be fine. All right, let me just get up to date here. To the Watcher. And Damian Wayne. And review, read. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So let's get, I got Audition fired up and recording. Let me know when you're set. Thank you, by the way, for sending it
40,
in
44-1.
4,400 or 44,100 last week.
Yep. Which is what I'm doing ahead of time now. So.
Good call.
Yep. Okay.
You recording?
Yep, I'm good to go.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. All right.
All right.
There's the snap. We are time locked. And let's bring that over there. All right. Need anything else before we get started?
All good.
All right. Count it down in 3, 2. Hello and welcome to Capes on the Couch, where comics get counseling. I'm Anthony Sitko.
And I'm Dr. Issues.
This is issue number 88. We are covering Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. And if you are saying, but Anthony, Eeyore isn't really a comics character, I would say to you, you're right. But our present level patron, Brian, requested him anyway. And he is a good friend of the show. And he pays us money every month to get his pick for a character. So Brian wants Eeyore. Brian gets Eeyore.
Yeah.
I know
so
Doc
I think
is looking forward to this.
Yeah. I would say that the lesson of the day is it's okay sometimes to be a sycophant.
Fair. I can't really argue that point. Speaking of sycophants, allow me to kiss ass for just a moment to all of the fantastic podcasts that participated in the pod raid last week. Much appreciated. For those of you who are not in the podcast community, basically every week there is one podcast that is subjected to basically a review and signal boost, as it were, where all of the other podcasts get together and review this one show. They download this one show. They hype this one show. It's all about indie podcasts really helping each other out. And so we've been involved with a number of communities for several months now. And we've been boosting other shows. And so last week it came our turn to be the beneficiary of all of that assistance. And so again, just wanted to say thank you to all of our podcasting friends that whether it was just a retweet or a like, this pretty much happens on Twitter. But a retweet, a like, a download, a review. We got so many reviews on Apple Podcasts and Podchaser. So much thanks to all of you. And one of the leaders of this was Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. And so they're going to be our shout out of the week. Ken, Padawan J, and Coach Duffy, along with an assortment of guests, talk sports, wrestling, entertainment, all in an hour. Hence the name. OchoDuroParlayHour.com is where you can find it. They like to talk, like I said, about sports, and wrestling is another big one. I know they had a big WrestleMania 36 episode where they had all their picks, and guesses on who is going to be victorious in the various matches. So if you are into sports, nerdy stuff, wrestling, basically all the geeky stuff that I know Doc and I love, but we really don't get an opportunity to go into much on this show, check them out. And that's about it. So let's get into Eeyore. This is going to be a very short background on account of Eeyore, although he's been around for almost 100 years. The original texts are not that many. And as I said to Doc before we officially got started, I would hazard a guess that much like the Tick, the overwhelming majority of our audience and the pop culture zeitgeist is more familiar with Eeyore through the Disney incarnation rather than the original source material. And so we're going to get into that in just a bit and discuss some of the differences. Let me just grab a drink here. So Eeyore, created by A.A. Milne in Winnie the Pooh with hyphens in October of 1926. This was the original story in which we're introduced to Eeyore, Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Tigger, Rabbit, Owl, Kangaroo, the whole cast of characters as you know and love them from the 100 Acre Wood all came from this book. And so Eeyore is an old gray donkey, and he is a friend of varying degree. We'll get into that shortly. He is a friend of the various inhabitants of the 100 Acre Wood and Christopher Robin. And he has a detachable tail, which he frequently uses. He has a detachable tail, which he frequently loses. And Owl at one point was using it as a bell pull. And then it gets reattached to his rear. If you've seen the Disney, again, you know it's with the nail. In the original books, it's a pin. Same concept. So he's not terribly different, but the thing is, in the original books, he is much more apathetic and condescending towards the other characters. He doesn't think that any of them have any major intelligence. He can't really be bothered to deal with any of them. The Disney version softened him a bit and made him more mopey, whereas in the original books, he's just kind of, leave me alone. I don't really want to be bothered with you all. Although he does show an affinity for the game Pooh Sticks, where basically you throw a stick down the river and then whoever's gets downstream faster wins. He seems to be very good at that. But otherwise, again, he's just kind of a dick. Dare I say that? And I feel a little guilty saying that about a beloved children's character, but
how dare you?
Yeah,
that's reserved for Scott.
Eeyore isn't. Well, no, Eeyore is not as big of a dick as Scott. Scott is still a number one dick.
For our new listeners, that's a running joke.
Yes, Scott is a dick. Eeyore is kind of like a chode. So let's just get right into the issues then, because like I said, I'm not going to belabor the point too much about the stories. And you've got, for those of you that don't get to see how Doc and I do this, or you don't read the show notes after the fact, or when you download the episode, Doc has written out, as you all know, we have 3 issues that we cover each episode. Doc has written depression, depression, and depression, but different types of depression or different manifestations of the depression. So let's go with this first one, which anhedonia, which I'm about to be educated because I have never heard this word before. And so I am very curious. So Doc, you say depression as in anhedonia. Please elaborate.
So anhedonia refers to the idea of the difficulty or even inability to experience pleasure. Now that can happen one of two ways.
Okay. Now I get Hedonia, the root hedonism, I
see,
and
see,
hedonia.
that's that's what I love about Anthony, because he's able to put that together based on his immense knowledge of linguistics as a whole. I know it just because I learned it from my psychiatry training. So that says a lot about him, and I mean that as a huge compliment.
Well, thank
Uh,
you.
so what I was going to say was it can be in a few different formats. The first would be the idea that you simply don't like things. And it's inherently not very common. That's not true to most human experience. Yes, you'll have things you dislike. Yes, you'll have things you're indifferent about, and yes, you'll have things that you like. It's hard to say that someone is a complete neutral slate to everything in life. So that's highly unlikely. But with depression, the idea that you develop an onset where you're not able to create new things that you enjoy, or or you have things that you used to enjoy and no longer do. So it can be a harbinger of things to come. If you don't even notice a change in your mood or anything else with regards to how you're functioning, but people are inviting you out to do things that you used to love, even just a few weeks ago, and you say, I don't know, just not feeling it right now. But then every other time subsequently they ask you and you still say no, that can be a red flag. It could be as simple as the things you do on a daily basis with your routine. I know I always wake up and I know I want my morning coffee. If all of a sudden I stop doing that and I'm giving myself a headache because caffeine has that effect if you're withdrawing from it, and yet I still say, well, I don't care. I just don't need it. Hmm. Is that a change in your mindset? Where did that come from? So in Eeyore's case, because it's a character in a literary sense, we could just say from the beginning, okay, he doesn't have much. But Anthony did give the point that he's willing to participate and actually seems to enjoy poo sticks. So he still has that. So maybe it's a matter of potentially establishing his baseline. If he completely loses his interest in poo sticks, then we know that this is not just regular Eeyore. This is now more depressed Eeyore, or whatever you want to call it. It's worse than before. But I just wanted to give that idea because it's a part of what some of us may inherently think of when we talk about depression, but it's not something that's as easily understood. And if we can pick up on it in ourselves or in others, then it could be an opportunity for an early intervention before things get worse.
Interesting. And I know that we did discuss that a little bit last week when we were talking about Matt, and we were talking about how depression can manifest in different ways and it's not always readily apparent to other people what that internal depression is going to appear and how it's going to come across to others. So we may be perceiving depression as one thing, whereas someone else may be experiencing a legitimate, authentic bout of depression, but it may not manifest in a way that triggers. So for this, I think the anhedonia speaks to dare I say it, a little more stereotypical version of depression, which is just the I don't want to do anything, nothing is fun. That's the Hollywoodized version, so to speak, of depression. And so that is, I think, it's certainly one of the key characteristics that we've seen exhibited by Eeyore in the Disney version. And certainly it's applicable in the original stories. But that notion carries on through to the other aspects of his depression. So let's get into step number 2, or issue number 2, depression as in lack of acknowledgement. So what exactly are you looking for, or what exactly are you trying to get at when you say lack of acknowledgement?
So, for the most part, we live in a society where the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And a character like Eeyore, even in the literature version of it, he definitely has a lot to say, but he tends to get drowned out. And Disney definitely took this and ran with it. It's everybody else's job to make sure that Eeyore is involved in doing things, because otherwise Eeyore's not in the picture. That's the way he's portrayed. And I want to bring that to our reality, because I'm not just going to talk about depression here. I'm going to talk about a few things that myself as a character do, even if it's not intentional. Heaven forbid someone is they're in the hot.
Doc, you froze there. You're
The best, usually a traditional way, as far as we can tell. And then just over time, naturally, that response could fade if it lasts. So to equate it back to Eeyore, Eeyore has been this way for a while. And yes, it's great that people try to include him and everything, but over time, in general, that type of coming together, that type of interaction can kind of get extinguished, can kind of exhaust itself. And people may not put forth the same effort that they once did. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm saying that it happens. And when it happens, there is a chance that the person that's experiencing whatever it is may feel ignored, may feel marginalized. Not because they think the other people are intentionally doing it, although they could think that, but they recognize, wow, there's so many other things going on in the world. Where, like, how much do I really matter? And start to feed in on itself. So I made the medical example where even if the person is not necessarily in a coma, let's just say they're bedridden, they can't do anything. Family comes and visits every day, then once a week, then once every 2 weeks, then once a month, then just phone calls. I hate to say it that way, but that is many people's experiences. And that in and of itself can lead to depression. That in and of itself can be a manifestation of depression because the person doesn't realize the interactions that they're having are starting to push people away. I'm not placing blame on anyone that has this dynamic with those around them, but I am hoping that this allows people to be more aware of it so that in your own life, in my own life, I'm not going to exclude myself, we take the time to recognize the people that may not be able to have the types of interactions they used to from one reason or another. So with someone like Eeyore, he may have his spot, he may have his home, and he may not want to do anything, but there's a difference between alone time and just being completely isolated and gone. So from that standpoint, I guess in a way I'm kind of shoehorning in a call to action. Go ahead and check in, because you don't know. There is no way to know unless you actually talk to someone. There's nothing magical about it, even if he's a magical donkey.
Very true story. And thank you for tying in that call to action. I've actually myself been speaking to a friend of mine who's been dealing with some medical problems, and he was living with his family for a while shortly after surgery to help him get literally back on his feet. And now he is back in his apartment by himself, and he's been struggling. He's been dealing with a lot of depression and a whole host of other things. So I've been checking in on him because I don't have the ability to drive out to where he is and check in on him in person, but at least I can let him know that I'm thinking of him. And I'm not saying this in like a self-flagellatory fashion, but I do think it helps some to know that someone outside of his immediate blood family does care about him and wants to make sure that he's doing okay. So, it's important that we reach out to those people. I do like how you did bring it back though and say that, you know, if every interaction you have starts to get that way, that it can lead to depression. It almost reminds me of the expression, like if you meet one asshole in a day, they're the asshole. But if everybody you meet in a day is an asshole, then you're the asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And I know lots of people who have pushed folks away because they just get very bitter and angry, and it becomes grating to deal with them. And as you know, people, we don't want to constantly have to cope with that sort of negative energy. And so I think it's incumbent upon all of us, and again, myself included, I've had bad stretches where I can be difficult to be around, and I understand that and I acknowledge that. And I would hope that I am surrounded by people who love me and care enough about me to say, hey, you're kind of being a prick right now. You know, what's going on? And not just immediately say, oh, you're being a prick, I'm not going to talk to you. Like, hopefully it comes with the understanding of, hey, you're not normally like this. You're not normally this dickish. Something's eating you. You want to talk about it. And if you give the person the room and the judgment-free ability to get whatever it is off of their chest, then you can hopefully, the idealist in me, hopefully get them to a better point of understanding, and then they will not be so quick to be the asshole. But you have to give them that room and that freedom, and without judgment, it's very important to have that understanding. You may not, you can't lead the donkey to water, or you can lead the donkey to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that ties in perfectly with what I put down as the third point.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Side note, want to give a shout out to Mr. Norwal from Rum Runners podcast, who's watching us right now on the YouTubes. So
whoop, whoop, whoop.
But yes, that does tie in perfectly to your third point of depression, which is depression as in the voice of the cynic.
Once again, yeah. I know I've said this statement before. Probably say it many times again, and I wish I can credit whoever I heard it from, but scratch a cynic and you'll realize that they're a wounded idealist. And
I've said that many, many times, both on this show and just in the 25 years that I've known you.
And with Eeyore, he epitomizes it. There is very clearly, whether he says it in a fleshed out version or not, his own view of how the world should be. And even if it's not as organized and well thought out in this full, complicated structure that we would expect someone to say, it really ticks him off that it isn't the way that he thinks it should be. So we would think, at least in the comic books realm, what we usually see is people that get angry about that, or they crack wise about it. They make it jokes or all these things and all these reactions because that's something that draws more attention. Eeyore is the opposite. Eeyore isn't necessarily even looking for attention with regards to it. But if you get him to talk about what he thinks is wrong, more importantly, what's wrong about you specifically as a character, he will say it. And he doesn't have a way to do it constructively. So rather than the idea of, I'll just make it up. Tigger, it would be nice if we could just have a playful interaction and I watch you bounce around instead of you bouncing me. It's in the neutral Disney version, somebody bounce me. That's it. Just like, you messed up. Like, not even any context, no nothing else to it. And it leaves, ironically, that's part of that cartoon that I remember so well. It's everybody else that's trying to piece everything together. And it's like, well, dude, you were involved in it. Like, give us more. Like, say something. What's happening? And he really doesn't. So it becomes a situation where you're willing to point out what's wrong with the world, but then that's it. You're a distant party to it. And that creates a very strange dynamic because people do want you to have more of a role, and yet because you think that everything is already so negative, you actually push away even further. So it just becomes this, this domino effect. Ironically, I don't know what you want to call it, anti-domino effect, where instead of like what happens next, it's like you're just pulling away more and more and more. So it's fascinating that a character like this can still have so many people that are genuinely interested in him, because he sets himself up to be pushed away. And on the other hand, that tells me from experience, what is it about your personality then that everybody still seems to cling to? It's not just pure circumstance. You could have a whole bunch of animals or stuffed animals or whatever in that environment. There's no rule that says that Christopher Robin has to play with everybody. And yet he's always included. Now that may say a lot about what Christopher Robin feels, and therefore by extension how all the other animals feel. But in general, people do not just automatically hang out with people that they think are jerks all the time. So that means that there is something inherently there that they find positive about him.
Unless you're in high school and they're only there because that's all you can find. I'm not naming names.
Oh boy.
Just saying.
Yeah, just saying. But anyway, the one part though I will add as a potential part to depression with this is a cynic can end up turning inwards and starting to actually dislike those parts about themselves as well. Because most cynics that I'm aware of are very self-aware of their own flaws and foibles. And therefore, they may, if going unchecked and not interacting appropriately with other people, may end up creating such a negative self-worth that they make their depression worse. And so people that may have a tendency to do that might need to seek out people that they consider to be positive reflections of who they are and make sure that they stay in line. And they may, rely on people for 25 years to do that. So, hey, just saying.
Just saying. Just coming up with hypotheticals, not in any way, shape, or form talking about real people who may or may not be in this conversation. No, I absolutely get what you're saying. And it's a lot. It's a lot. We're just, we're hitting a streak here with all of this. Last week with Daredevil, there was a lot of stuff, at least from my end, that hit close to home, and we did get a lot of feedback that some of the things that we discussed in the Daredevil episode were very, very close to home. And I think honestly, this episode is based on this discussion that we've been having for the last 20 minutes or so, is going to hit a lot of people where they live. I'll put it that way. So let's take a pause. We'll plug a couple shows, and we come back. We'll get into treatment. Stay tuned. Yeah. Yeah, that is
Yep.
Some real shit.
Yep. And whoa. Speaking of random stuff from high school, Mark Bullock just Facebook friend requested me.
Wow. Another country heard from?
I mean, it's cool. I don't have a problem with it. I was just like, that's random.
Gosh. I never had
Nice.
an issue with Mark. So cool.
Wow. And in these pictures, at least on the Facebook page, I'll be honest, the first thing I thought, I was like, whoa, looks like Bernie Mac. All right.
Ken and I started watching Original Kings of Comedy the other night because we were looking. It's on I think it's on Amazon Prime or Hulu.
Okay. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. It's on Sling. and it's streaming through IFC.
Huh.
And
Cool.
yeah, we made it up to, I think we stopped after Steve Harvey's second bit. So right before Cedric was about to come out, we didn't get to burn a motherfucking Mac yet.
Oh man. Oh, you got to make that Patreon exclusive because you do that voice way too well. Ooh.
I'm tired, Charlie. Let me talk to you. I'm aggressive, but we're family. I can't do it like I used to.
Wow.
I fought for 3 minutes. That's it. That's a 1-round heavyweight bout. And motherfuckers is getting knocked out in the first round.
Wow.
You know, I got special attention from a long time ago. Long time ago. I got special attention from a woman. Bernie, why do you use the word motherfucker so much? You listen to black people talk, you may hear the word motherfucker 32 times. But the conversation makes sense like a motherfucker. See that motherfucker over there, Bobby? That motherfucker owed me $35 motherfucking dollars. I called the motherfucker mama. I called the motherfucker's house. His motherfucking mama answered the phone. I wanted to cuss the motherfucker out, but I didn't want to start no motherfucking shit. But I tell you, Bobby, next time I see that motherfucker and he don't have my motherfucking money, I'm gonna bust his motherfucking head. I'm out this motherfucker. Taken from us way too soon.
Yeah. Such a shame.
I still reference that bit. I'm opening up a daycare center. You trust me with your kid. You come home, come and pick your kid up. Say, why my son have a knot in the side of his head? Because I slapped the motherfucker up the side of the head with a hammer. It was jumping up and down on my goddamn couch.
Oh man.
Oh, Chad from Perfect Package is on now.
Nice.
Now I want to hear the series where you do all the 7 dwarves.
Hey.
Somebody wants to hear it. One of our patrons wants to pick it. Well,
yes, I can talk, for how I would just make sure that Sleepy, gets Ritalin, 4 times a day. All right.
He asked if I was doing Uncle Tony from the barbecue.
Nice.
What? Fool, you don't know nothing about this. All right.
We good.
It was one long Patreon exclusive bit just there.
All right.
Our bloopers this month were 15 minutes long. It's fucking ridiculous. Huh. All right. Back in 3, 2, and we're back. So, treatment in universe for Eeyore. Oh boy. Let's hear it.
So, the good news is it's already set in nature, and I think the best thing would not be anything spectacular. I would take advantage of the name of the place, 100 Acre Wood. Eeyore and I are going for a walk. A really long walk. As many times as it takes. Because that allows for a lot of space. It allows for the ability to just not have to talk if he doesn't have anything to talk about. But anytime there is something that he wants to talk about, we can get as deep as he'd like. And the irony of it is, it's personal attention that he wouldn't get otherwise. Because, as I stated before, he's a side character to everything else that happens, unless something is done to him, in which case it's, how do we solve this thing that was done to him, but then he's still in the background. So he doesn't have to worry about everybody else intervening or everybody else doing things the way they want. It'll be his pace, his terms. And like I said, However long it takes, we just talk. Because I think there's a lot of things that he wants to say in a way that he probably hasn't even had a way to say it, a way with more expression than he's used to. I wouldn't be surprised. I know I'm saying this as a joke, but I wouldn't be surprised if people said later on, we heard someone screaming about something. We didn't know what it was. And I'm like, oh, well, that's Eeyore's loud voice. That's Eeyore's angry voice. Like, really? He has an angry voice? Like, well, you wouldn't know it. But now he
Probably
does.
a situation where he may say, no one's ever asked me that question before type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I don't have like more dramatic or whatever stuff for in universe, but I mean, the characters themselves actually create more wacky stuff than Eeyore does. So why would I try and match them?
Very true. Yeah, Tigger's going to get him into more trouble than he could do himself. So out of universe, then, a hermit, maybe, or just a general recluse who has kind of pushed away most of the people in their life, have very limited interactions with the rest of the quote unquote outside world. And I feel like this is the type of patient that, for better or worse, hold on. And I feel like this is the kind of patient that, for better or worse, you see a decent amount of, or at least have had some consistent experience with in your time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's one of the most common types of situations that I see. And it often has to do with family members, friends, bosses, situations where other people want this person to get help in some way, and the person themselves is reluctant. And sometimes the reluctance is a part of the illness itself, meaning they may have taken on as an exaggeration. Well, no, I take it back. It's not an exaggeration to say some people get so guarded about the world that they develop paranoia and it becomes a symptom. Some people, though, with depression, not being paranoid, just simply don't have the tools or the coping mechanisms or the medication to handle their circumstances in a way that would allow them to live a life that they would even want. That's the part I think that's the most difficult. Having the patient acknowledge that there is something that can be done. Part of the depression itself can lead the person to become so helpless and hopeless about it that whatever I say in the moment when I'm first trying to treat them doesn't resonate. So it's a situation where I need to find a hook. I need to find something that's a buy-in. Thankfully, as I said, it's not total anhedonia usually, because even if it's something that the person used to enjoy, I try and draw out the things that they remember, the actual things that they recall that were from the memories themselves, because that can be recreated as long as they were healthy things. Obviously, I'm not trying to say, oh yeah, I used to drink a 6-pack before I went to bed. Like, okay, well, I can't rely on that. But healthy activity, sure. Interactions with others, sure. Anything I can do just to get that hook, that's fine. Let's recreate it in the sense that let's review what you liked about it. Because even if you don't get the same sensation now from the activity, the fact that you had the memory of it can be powerful. And you ask the person, if possible, to do the activity even at a moment of not being interested. Because sometimes it spontaneously does recreate that feeling, that emotion. If it's a matter of worldview, well, I'm not going to try and change the person's total worldview if it's based in reality. But I also do want them to at least recognize that you can actually play more of a role in the world then. You do have a part. it may not be on the stage that you wanted. Ironically, it may be a matter of someone wanting so grandiose a platform, and since they don't have it, they feel like there's nothing else. We've had plenty of comic book characters that have had that, but
Truth.
Yeah, but it doesn't even have to go that far. And with regards to the standby medications, it depends on what's going on. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. It can involve alternative antidepressants. It can involve, especially when you talk about someone like Eeyore, who's I'm imagining someone that isn't exactly high energy and therefore may have a lower metabolism. Then we can even look at alternatives like thyroid medication that might boost their metabolism a bit, give them more energy than they thought were originally possible. If it's severe enough, can even look at stimulants, but I wouldn't go to that first line. I'm just giving these as opportunities to see how a psychiatrist thinks about these things as time goes on. Not saying that this is automatically what I do for everyone. And it's nice to keep these ideas fresh in, after 80 some odd episodes to make sure that I don't sound like a broken record.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. You say that all the time that, oh, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I don't want to sound like a broken record. I think even with some of the issues that we've dealt with even over and over again, the way that the issues manifest themselves in the characters and the way that they interact in universe with their supporting cast, whomever they may be, I think is ultimately so different that even if you're talking about this character with depression versus that character with depression, the manifestations are going to be so completely different that your addressing and your treatment suggestions are not going to be just the same thing over and over again. And to the extent that there is some crossover, again, I think there's enough variation within the characters that, and the way that those issues manifest themselves, that you're not at risk of being full on repeat.
Cool.
As you say all the time, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme.
Yeah.
I think you're rhyming. We're fine.
So, hey, a lot of people made a lot of money off of some fat rhymes, so that's cool.
That they did. Doc Issues got bars. So, World Star. So, never thought I'd make a World Star hip hop reference in the middle of talking about Eeyore, but here we are. This is the world in which we live. So let us take all of this and see what happens when we get Eeyore on Dr. Issues' couch.
So now that you said that, all I can think of is just in general, like, are there many rappers that talk about depression? And the first thing I thought of was Jersey's own Joe Budden. I mean, dude, he's got some interesting stuff. Oh man, he's one of my favorites, and so yeah, all I could think of now, unfortunately, with my warped mind, is Eeyore doing some Joe Budden's lyrics. Like I could totally see him. Like, oh my gosh, that's gonna give me nightmares. All right. Anyway, let me just take a sip of water, and I'm good.
Shout out to Chris Osborne from Play Comics, who's watching us, and said, "I'm connecting so much more with Eeyore now that I know about book Eeyore the asshole." Yeah, he's way more of a dick in the original text. Disney being Disney, they softened him, and now he's just mopey. All right. I got it up. Okay. I have the skit up. Never mind.
Yeah.
Heard it as soon as I said it.
Dude, I know you're wearing pants anyway, so...
What were we talking about before the episode started? Gotta get my kick somehow, right?
If you're getting your kicks to... If you're getting your kicks to Eeyore, then... then again... if you ever go to a donkey show...
Come on. I wouldn't get it off to Eeyore. I'm not an ass man.
Woo! And Tony with the pun of the night. All right. All right.
All righty. Oh, there is a special place in hell for us.
Yep.
All right, you gotta give me a second now. I have to recollect myself because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't go from an up-tempo record into a goddamn dead dog dedication. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is America Top 40? All right. Okay. I think I may even drop the audio
Mm-hmm.
like a pitch. I may play
Yeah.
with the pitch a little bit
Okay.
because I can't get my voice that deep
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
naturally. So
Okay.
whenever you're ready.
All right. In 3, 2. Hello, Eeyore. I'm Dr. Issues.
Oh, hi there.
How are you doing today?
It's a day, just like all the others.
I see. Well, I do have other patients, so.
No, I want to have my time.
And so you shall. What would you like to talk about?
I'm not sure. Is there much of a point if you know it's not going to be good anyway?
I don't know where to begin with that. Are you always this pessimistic?
Only on days that end in Y.
I pictured you to be like mopey, but you have such an edge to you. Clearly, something's bothering you other than the state of the world.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to shut you down. Look, I don't like pulling information out of patients. This is supposed to be a two-way conversation.
I don't like telling long stories.
Then basic stuff. What is your mood?
Down.
How long has it been that way?
A long time.
Is there anything that triggers it?
No.
How about anything that makes you feel better?
Not really.
Have you tried anything that makes you feel better?
I don't think so.
Do you want to feel better?
I don't understand the question.
Do you like who you are?
Better than anyone else, I guess.
So it's not a lack of self-worth. Good.
If you say so.
Learn to take a compliment, please.
Even if they're backhanded or patronizing.
I'm not patron. Whew. What you're getting from me is my genuine interpretation of what you're saying. So if you're spitting a lot of sass or venom, I'm going to get sick.
I don't want to cause trouble. I just want to be left alone.
Who bothers you?
Everyone.
Care to elaborate?
I said what I said. Everyone. I want my time alone. But everyone says I'm depressed. They want me to play games I don't care about. They want me to talk about things that are dumb.
Oh, so you need downtime. I really hadn't thought about it that way. When's your preferred time of day to focus on yourself?
Sometime between sun up and sundown.
So let's set some realistic goals.
How do I get Tigger to stop bouncing around me? How do I get Rabbit to mind his own business and not try to explain 15 ways to tidy up my house? How do I not get Pooh and Piglet to get in my face every minute to ask where the last honeypot went? How do I do all of that without telling them to go away forever? I don't want to be a bother.
You're describing healthy boundaries. I can help with that. Interpersonal therapy can be powerful, but only if you're willing to put in a high amount of energy in a short amount of time. Can I count on you to do that?
I guess.
With conviction.
I guess.
Then I'll see you as soon as you can tolerate more than 5 minutes of talking next time. You know, how about we go for 6?
Oh, bother. Well, thanks for noticing me.
The fact that you did that 100% the way that I knew you were going to do it still seems very rewarding for some reason.
Well, I think it speaks to our connection and just, knowing us being on the same page as far as what this show is and knowing the message that we're trying to get across.
Yeah.
You put your faith in me as a voice actor to pull off what you wrote. I put my faith in you as the professional to write something that's authentic, and I'm just going to give it a voice. So,
yeah.
And again, knowing you after 25 years, I know what you want from this. I know how you're going to write it. So I'm going to give you what you want.
All righty. Nice.
All right. And we're back in 3, 2. So that was interesting. He didn't hate it, but
I don't think he loved it either.
No, he definitely didn't love it, but I don't think he knows how to love it or how to love anything.
Yeah.
But he'll get there. So recommended reading, I would suggest it's not really much to go on.
Read the damn book.
Yeah, I was going to say, just go read the original A.A. Milne stories, not the Disney versions, not the, adaptations of whatever the cartoons were, the original A.A. Milne stories. Read them to your kids or read them yourself. And then see, oh, Eeyore's kind of an asshole.
Aww.
But it's a justifiable asshole. Maybe. Again, Tigger's been the wonderful thing about Tigger. Tigger's the wonderful thing. He's, on speed, bouncing around stuff. Rabbit is, an OCD manipulative asshole. Pooh is, got his head in a honeypot half the time. Oh, bother. Piglet is like, Piglet is a worry wart. Oh, did you hear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Owl's the only one with any halfway decent common sense out of the whole lot of them.
Yeah.
So just my take on my hot take on on all the inhabitants of the 100-Acre Wood. This episode should be subtitled Anthony Shits on the 100-Acre Wood. So upcoming episodes as we get back to the comic realm. So next week there will be no episode. I am going away on vacation with my family. So the following week, we're getting back onto the comic schedule, and we're going to be doing Reader from the Inhumans. That is Ruby's pick. Then Uatu the Watcher, as requested by Matt, and then Damian Wayne as Ariel reverts back to form and decides to go along with the rest of the Bat family. She had her dalliance with the Marvel Universe. She established she does read stuff other than DC, other than the Bat family books. But, can't spend too much time outside of DC. So she's like, all right, I'll dip my toe in the Marvel waters. There we go. Get Daredevil. Okay. back to my safe spot, back to my safe area. Because she gave me her list of DC characters, or the list of upcoming characters that she wants, and it's all DC and it's all Bat Family. So, to the surprise of absolutely no one. And that's why we love Ariel. Yeah. Follow her on Twitter, by the way. She has, you think I spit some hot takes? She is all about the hot takes, and just, she is very highly opinionated on Twitter. So go give her a follow. I tag her frequently in my typical follow Fridays. Before we plug all the socials, we got a review. As I said at the top of the show, we were the honorees for last week's pod raid, so we got a ton of reviews. So Dylan H36 says, super niche, super love it. I absolutely love how niche this podcast is and how knowledgeable they are. Great chemistry, great content, great for anyone that's into comics and analyzing personalities. Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate the love. And this goes out to anybody who left us a review last week, or anybody who leaves us a review in general. If you send us an email at capesonthecouch@gmail.com with a screen cap of your review and your address, we will mail you a sticker as a way of saying thank you. And I will also mention that in the Twitter thread of all of the podcasts that I'm in, to go, hey, it's not a quid pro quo. It's just like it's a thank you, an honest and sincere thank you. So plugs for social. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Capes on the Couch. We've got a YouTube channel where you can watch us live stream. We have a Patreon. And right after we record this episode, we're going to be recording our review of The Boys Volume 1, which the series is coming out. I think Season 2 is coming out this week or next week, something along those lines. So you can listen to Doc and I talk about what we think on the comic book, as well as other exclusive reviews. And we do those now twice a month, thanks to the success of our Patreon page and the support of all of our wonderful patrons. We also have a TeePublic site, tpublic.com/user/Capes on the Couch. You can check out our logo, or the Why Because Comics logo, and get all sorts of cool swag there. And that's going to wrap it up for this week. So it was a blustery day in the 100 Acre Wood. But
oh yeah,
I used to use that line all the time to open up play-by-play when I would broadcast my college football games. If it was a really windy game, really windy day at the stadium, I would always start off, well, it's a blustery day here in the 100 Acre Wood, here at Lions Stadium in Ewing, campus of the College of New Jersey, Ewing, New Jersey, as the College of New Jersey Lions prepare to defend home turf against the Rowan Profs in D3 college football, exciting as that is.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry. It's been a long day. That was a long rant. I apologize.
Uh-huh.
Doc, give us a pun.
Nope. But I do have something else. I'm going to give you a bonus treatment. If that walk with Eeyore doesn't work, I basically would gather as much from my hair and from rubbing Eeyore and try and give him electroshock therapy that way.
Can you give electroshock therapy to a stuffed animal? Does that work?
Well, I'm going with static shock instead of regular electroshock because it would just set him on fire.
Static shock. No, that's DC. That's a comic thing.
Boom.
Boom. All right. Thank you, as always.
You are such a jackass. You know that?
There it is. There's the pun. Now we can officially end the episode. For Doc Issues, I'm Anthony Zitko. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in 2 weeks. All right. So, all right. So we're going to stop the broadcast now. So we'll stay in the you and I will stay in the Get Vocal room, just so I can, see and hear you.
Right.
But
I'm just saving this recording.
Yeah, you save that. We're going to stop the broadcast. So thank you, everybody who watched. Chris, Mr. Narwhal, Chad, thanks for the awesome comments. Appreciate it. Much love to y'all. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Peace out.